Hey girl, Marissa here. You are listening to the Codependummy podcast. As a young woman, you have been raised, reinforced, and rewarded for putting the needs of others above your own. That is for being codependent. Now in your 20s, you're exhausted, exasperated, and enveloped in crap relationships, especially the one you have with yourself. This podcast is to help you undo all that so you can stop playing small and start taking up space, you dummy. Let's get to it. Hey girl, today's episode is sponsored by Frame, a therapist matching service. Hear more at the end of the episode for their exclusive offer for Codependummy listeners. And stay tuned for an announcement for something big and exciting coming out March 1st. Okay. So today we are going to talk about the inner dialogue of codependence. Maybe you heard on Corey Rosenthal's episode where we talked about codependency and food, her encouragement for us to have a kinder inner dialogue, right? Why? Well, you will see as I open up about how vile and violent and word vomit laden I would be with myself in the depths of my codependency. We're going to talk about, and I will give you examples of what it sounded like in my head throughout my 20s. Before we get to that, I do want to share a few things. So first, girl, thank you so much for listening. You, like I am talking to you listening to this at this very moment. I am so grateful to have you here. This launched a couple weeks ago. I've heard from a few of you, and just know I really appreciate it and your feedback that it's helping. There's actually a phenomenon called pod fading where podcasts disappear after their first couple episodes. And after launching, I can see why. And I'm like, I wonder if everybody who pod faded is codependent because you get feedback or you lose momentum and the self-doubt starts to creep in. Maybe you worry about disappointing people and you quit. So I don't know, that could just be me projecting my codependency, but I made a personal commitment to post an episode every week for the next 5 years. I'm talking into my mic for those who aren't watching. So, hello, January 2026. It's me, Marissa, with Codependummy's 260th-ish episode. Know that, okay? I am here for you, and we are going to practice consistency. I'm not going to be a little codependummy and quit when it gets hard. So, thank you for listening. Number 2, if you are a patient of mine, if you are currently on my caseload, you can let me know. My therapy patients, the focus is on them, right? Not on me. So the past couple of weeks when we started sessions and I've said, how are you feeling? How was your week? I'm not like, oh, BT dubs, I started a podcast. That's not what the focus is. But it's been so interesting. So 2 times I had one patient and he was like, yeah, I listened to a lot of podcasts this week. And I was like, did you? And I had another one and she brought up how she was feeling, she was like, if there was a word, it's like codependent. And I'm like, have you been feeling codependent? So if you've been listening and you want to talk about it or the fact that you've heard me open up, you have full permission to do that, but it's up to you. Therapy patient. All right. And number 3, I've already been a codependummy the past couple weeks since launching. I mentioned, right, the phenomena of pod fading, but I did get some negative feedback. and thought, oh God, should I change the entire focus or name of the show? Right? The sound quality has not been perfect, and it's gotten worse over time. Last week's episode with Alejandra, I was like, oh my God. Right? The first 35 seconds, we were supposed to edit all of that out, and nope, that was all there. And then there was a huge pause in the middle. And I will be honest, when I heard that, I went to boom, I'm going to lose listeners, right? I am going to miss out. Way to go, Marissa. And people have also told me and given me feedback like, oh, you should be looking at these numbers and you should do X and you should do Y. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want to disappoint these people and their feedback, but I cannot be the hostess mostest of the Codependummy podcast and let these fears and perceptions of other people control my behavior. Or I will never, ever release another episode, and I'll be pursuing some suggestion that some random person gave me. So I am not releasing each episode like, it's okay, trust the process. But I'm also not releasing them or deleting them because there's 10 seconds of random pauses in an episode. In literature on codependency, there is part of our healing, part of my healing has come, there's literally in the literature a coping skill, practice, action, implementation for courageous vulnerability. So here I am modeling that and also promising I commit to work on the sound editing for future episodes to give you the best goddamn podcasting that I can. And I will also be really grounded and centered and intentional when I do get feedback to ensure I don't turn into an adherent little girl, right? So this podcast stays aimed at my mission to empower you to stop playing small and start taking up space, you dummy. All right. So those are the notes. And this flows into what we are talking about today. So today's topic, the inner dialogue of codependence, because we are not kind to ourselves. In fact, we are ruthless. Melody Beattie, one of the esteemed authors and experts on codependency, she defines codependence as a person, we'll say a lady, a she, because that's who I am, who has let another person's behavior affect her and who is obsessed with controlling that person's behavior. Thus, if I make a mistake, someone demonstrates that they're disappointed in me, I am affected by their disappointment, and I am obsessively apologetic, self-sacrificing, and doing all I can to control them and get them back to being content with me. Right? Can't stop, won't stop, gotta win you back. I am affected by their behavior and obsessed with controlling it. Also, in this process, I beat myself up mercilessly. I actually, in prepping for this episode, I shared a snippet of my former inner dialogue that I had throughout my adolescence and early adulthood with my older sister and my husband, like I gave him a preview of how I would talk to myself. They were like, oh God, oh man. And that's so nice. Maybe they weren't that mean to themselves, but I know for you, the true codependent, you'll think, yep, sounds about right, Marissa. And before I begin, please put headphones on and make sure there are no children around. Okay? I did get some feedback about cussing on the podcast. I will add, I hesitated to put explicit when I was uploading it. And I was told by my attorney that it may limit who will sponsor the podcast. However, as an honest codependent diamond, right, recovered codependent, and psychotherapist, I am in favor of cursing. Even the word. I'm in favor of cussing, okay? I sense it brings out emotions and feelings in an authentic and genuine way. I'm not filtering anything, and this is what I actually sounded like throughout my 20s. This is what I hear my patients say to themselves. So I am going to earn that E for explicit as best as I can, right? Fuck it. If I'm going to put an E up for explicit, I'm just going to fucking go for it. So sit back, relax, and tune your ears to the inner dialogue of a codependent in these following 5 scenarios. Okay, I'm going to walk you through 5 scenarios, inner dialogue of a codependent. Okay, when we blame ourselves for everything, when we pick on ourselves for everything we think, feel, look, act/behave. Okay. So when I would blame myself for everything, what it sounded like internally was, Marissa, this is all your fault. You fucking idiot. What did you expect, Marissa? You're the one who set your expectations so high, dummy. If only you weren't such an idiot, then you wouldn't be in this situation. God, you're so stupid. What in the actual fuck is wrong with you? Why are you such a fuck up? One day, they are all going to realize just how weak, pathetic, and incompetent you truly are. That is what it sounded like when anything went wrong. I blamed myself. Me, myself, and I was the judge and jury, and I deserved to be on death row all the time, right? The guilt of being a codependent. I remember I used to think, God, it's like murderers, rapists, pedophiles, right? They're all in this low, awful class. And then it's like, Marissa, I really blamed and felt really guilty all the time. Next scenario, right? Codependents, we pick on ourselves for everything, including, let's start with what we think. All right, so my thoughts, I would think, imagine, daydream, come up with solutions in my head, and I would think to myself, you're a fucking dumbass. You know that? Why would you even think that? The fact that you had that thought shows just how crazy you really are. You're stupid for thinking that. You're inane for believing it would work out this time. You loser. Your brain is literally broken. You're a fucking loser. Weak ass bitch. That is what it sounded like when I would criticize my thoughts. What about picking on myself and my feelings? How did it sound when I had strong emotions? Well, I would think to myself, stop being such a baby. God, could you be any more dramatic with these tears? Spare me the waterworks, Marissa. Buck up. That's what you get. That's what you get. You have absolutely no right to be sad, right, angry, disappointed, insert emotion. You have no right to feel this way. Shut the fuck up and quit your whining. Other people have real problems. Boo freaking who? Give me a break. Poor Marissa. Right? Like, so mean to myself. I was so, right? Just vile, critical, harsh. Next scenario, right? Codependents. We pick on ourselves for how we look. Oof. And you guys recall in the depths of my codependency, I weighed about 40 pounds more than I do right now. And I was not kind to myself about my weight. So this is my internal dialogue when I would pick on myself. You're ugly. You're fugly. You're fucking ugly. You're fat. You're a fat ass. No one would ever want to fuck you. You almost look perfect today, but you forgot to paint your nails. Nice try. And I remember that memory very clearly. I looked really good. I had this very nice professional outfit on. My hair looked really good. And yeah, I remember I looked at my nails and they were chipping. And I was like, oh, nice try, Marissa. Nice try. You're disappointing everyone with your body. I would honestly think that. I'd be like, way to go. Look at your outfit. I would think if only you were prettier, skinnier, but no, you're not, which is why you're all alone. And my inner dialogue, when I would pick at, make fun of, pick on myself for my behavior, right? I would think, you're the most basic bitch. You are so fucking boring. Could you tell stories that are less entertaining? I cannot believe that you said X, right? Insert whatever I said. Oh my God, Marissa, I cannot believe that you did Y. Insert whatever behavior I did. No wonder no one wants to hang out with you. You're a fucking shit show. Get your shit together. And I would criticize my behavior, right? You're lazy, nasty, dirty, incompetent, sleazy, thirsty, desperate, slutty, right? Insert any type of name. Dumbass, asshole, bitch. I don't know if I ever used the C or the P word, and I won't say that here, but I know And I'm curious if you call yourself that, a codependummy sometimes, right? Do you call yourself the C word? Do you call yourself the P word? Piece of shit. That was a main theme. God, Marissa, you're such a piece of shit. Fucking piece of shit. Piece of fucking shit. I was just a lowly pile of poop. So, I wonder if I earned my explicit rating. And to review, right? The inner dialogue of codependence when we blame ourselves and we pick on ourselves for what we think, what we feel, how we look, and how we behave. This is how we do it, right? So harsh, so hard on ourselves. And let's talk about an example. While I was writing this, I was reminded of a time when at 21 years old, I fucked up. I was in a dating relationship that literally had me up to my eyeballs in codependency. It was coming out of my ears. You guys, I was the epitome of codependent. My purpose in life at that time when I was with this young man, what do I need to do for you to stay? Tell me what you need me to do, and I will do it. And right, that was unconscious. It wasn't this conscious question, but my behaviors, my actions demonstrated and communicated that. And his unconscious behaviors, actions, right? I was asking, what do I need to do for you to stay? And his answer was, you need to cope with the fact that my ex-girlfriend is still involved in my life, so much so that I'm going to go visit her this weekend. Right? This is all unconscious, but our behaviors were communicating this underneath our actions. And my response to that proposal was, sounds good, right? I'm this flexible, adaptable, chill girlfriend, potential girlfriend. Love me, please. And I, sent him off and he went to go visit his ex-girlfriend. And I was sad, obviously, anxious, obviously, in denial, obviously. And I went out. I got really drunk, likely an unconscious attempt to soothe that anxiety, jealousy, denial. And I had sex with someone else. Right? So here I was doing everything, being everything, and having everything with this young man to audition for the role to be the best girlfriend on the planet. And on our way to being exclusive, I was very inclusive of this other gentleman. And the guilt, oh God. My mind, right, that next day, I did not come clean. I think, right, it was a whole day, and then it was later that evening, I believe I came clean. So close to 12 hours. I was not kind to myself, right? God, Marissa, why? Why did you do that? And when it came time to come clean, I was already beating myself up. And I said, I hooked up with this guy. And this young man that I was dating, he was understandably hurt, disappointed, and he needed, I remember it was like, I need some time to think about this. Never mind that he went to go visit his ex-girlfriend that weekend. Like, let's just, never mind that, you little codependummy, Marissa. Right? For me, I was doing everything I could to prove how lovable I was to this guy. So the fact that he went to go visit his ex-girlfriend, that did not factor in my thoughts, feelings, and behavior pre and post this conversation where I came clean with him. Right? Marissa, what is wrong with you? Why? Why did you have to go and fuck it all up, you fuck up? You had a good thing, Marissa. You had a good thing with this guy. God, you're a fucking slut. You know that? This guy has been so good to you, and look at you. You unfaithful hoe. Right? That's literally what, and I remember I came clean and I cried myself to bed that night, just feeling awful. And the next day, I could barely focus in class. I recall I went to a beach school, and so I rode to this private bench at the beach, and I just remember sobbing into the sunset, right? Oh, how could I do such a thing to an innocent man? I am bad. I am terrible. I am awful. I am conniving, evil, bitch, slut. Just laid it on thick. I remember I talked to my friends who I sensed they were very compassionate, but I'm curious now if they were looking at me like, Marissa, you're acting like you just murdered someone. You're not eating. You feel so bad. But he was visiting his ex-girlfriend? Right? So it didn't compute. It didn't. As a codependummy, his behavior affected me, and I was obsessed with controlling his behavior to get him back to loving me. So we ended up, this young man and I, we made up and we continued dating. That is for another episode. But look at what the internal dialogue of a codependent actually sounds like. We blame ourselves. We get vile and violent, unrelenting, no mercy, right? And I'm curious, right? As I was doing that, I sense there's this unconscious part of me that figures maybe if I'm harsh enough with myself, I won't do it again. And maybe if I beat myself up enough, I will receive a harsh punishment and be able to heal from there, move on from there, right? But I am my own judge and jury. I gave myself a very harsh punishment with this unconscious attempt that if I beat myself up enough, maybe it'll be okay. But until then, it wasn't. And now, over a decade later, a little over a decade, I can see that in my anger towards myself, I was avoiding expressing anger at him for issues in the relationship. I was avoiding expressing my anger about the situation, right? What the fuck are you doing going to visit your ex-girlfriend? Like, hello? I also had a lot of unexpressed anger towards everyone in my life that I internalized and only directed towards myself. And, right, this codependent creed that defined my 20s, I will be uncomfortable, so you will be comfortable. I can substitute a lot of actions and feelings for that. Like, I will be angry at myself, so I don't have to be angry with you. I will beat myself up, so I don't have to beat you up. And while this example is very honest, I sounded like this all the time, right? You fat ass, when I got up to write stuff on the board in my Spanish class. Idiot when I ran late and lost the bus. No good for nothing when I missed a workout, right? It did not take much for that inner dialogue of punishment, self-blame, self-criticism to kick in. So for you, my dear sweet codependummy, what has come up for you while listening? Have you been as harsh or even harsher with yourself? If so, I totally and completely understand. We are harsh with ourselves, so we don't have to be harsh with anybody else. That way, we'll at least have a better chance of being lovable, right? And circling back to what Corey Rosenthal taught us, we do need to focus on developing a kinder inner dialogue. And I will add, instead of picking on ourselves all the time and blaming ourselves all the time, we need to pick on and blame other people. For example, right? Because everyone's like, oh, can't blame. I don't know about that. I have a question mark about not blaming people. Also not being hyper blaming, which as a society we are. But like there's a middle ground that you and me and other listeners, we're going to find it. For example, with this guy I was dating, at the first sign of a problem, right? When he first admitted to me that he was communicating with his ex-girlfriend, I could have said, hey, I feel uncomfortable that you're talking with her. I'd prefer you end your communication with her. Because that's how I honestly felt. I was not this like super cool, flexible, confident girl. No. Like, you can't talk to her. I know people are like, oh, but that's controlling. It's like, at the time, we were newly dating. Maybe in the future when I felt more secure, but I'd prefer you end your communication with her. That is my honest truth. I will go work on the rest of it in therapy. There you go. I could have said, hey, I feel jealous and worry that you'll cheat on me. If this continues, I will have to end our relationship. That is the truth. Or, hey, I'm right here. Why are you looking over there at her? Metaphorically. I've been unseen and unheard and felt unwanted my whole life, but I can't keep getting into relationships that make me feel the same way. Thank you, but no thank you. Right? I could have said that because that was truth. Or right? I could have said, "Are you fucking kidding me? I dressed like Lady Gaga at a rave for you. You fucking idiot. You're a weak, pathetic, and slutty man. I'm done." Right? Just taking all that self-abuse I was giving and, giving him a piece. Right? I'm trying to, and I hope that what you're starting to realize is that some of this harshness you have with yourself, I sense it is a defense mechanism, right? You're defending against your truth, your emotions, which is that you do have harsh thoughts and feelings and needs that you may need to communicate with others. All right, so that is how I would articulate my feelings with him instead of picking on myself. Excuse me. And to create a kinder inner dialogue, right? Oh my God. The guy I'm dating just told me that he is still in communication with his ex-girlfriend. Marissa, it's okay to be jealous right now. Jealousy is a human emotion. That girl is really pretty. This guy is sketchy. No wonder you feel this way. I could have said, Marissa, I know you like the attention you are getting from him. This feels so good. But you deserve undivided attention. You want a serious boyfriend, and he's not it. You are lonely, but you feel lonely with him while he's thinking of her. Let's seriously consider leaving. Or I could have said, Marissa, baby girl, you are being stupid right now. You are being an adorable idiot. Take a breath. Get honest. Let's end it with him and go talk to that boy in your class. Right? Instead of beating myself up for being jealous, being insecure, and then taking that insecurity and jealousy and acting in such a manner that really did compromise my morals and the potential that this relationship had. We were able to date and repair, but that did some damage, right? I'm over here pointing my finger at him, and then there really were three pointing back at me, with me adding as much jealousy, tension, distrust to the relationship because I couldn't bring it up with him, and I couldn't be honest with myself, and I couldn't be kind to myself about how I was actually feeling. So your homework is to reflect on your own inner dialogue. How do you sound when you make a mistake, when you disappoint others, when you don't meet the expectations set forth by your parents, professors, partners, pals? What do you say to yourself? Second is to reflect on your feelings that come up. If you start to beat yourself up, who are you sparing in the beating? And third is to work towards creating that kinder inner dialogue. Okay? I would love to hear from you. Please send me an email, Marissa@codependummy.com, to give me a preview of what it sounds like between those ears, right? I looked okay. I acted like I was nice. I sounded really sweet. And I was a harsh, ruthless, evil bully to myself. And we are bringing truth and honesty to that here. And that's it. So thank you for listening. And remember, if you do not feel seen, I see you. If you do not feel heard, I hear you. And if you think that you don't matter, know that you matter to me. Today's episode is sponsored by Frame, a therapist matching service. They want to help you find the right therapist for you. How it works is you create a profile, answer questions about you and what you want to work on in therapy, and then voila! Frame matches you with 6 to 8 therapists. Next, like Goldilocks, you can browse and talk with each of them to choose the therapist that's just right for you. Using Frame to find your therapist is free. They're also offering my listeners an exclusive code for $20 off each of your first 3 sessions once you match with a therapist. All you have to do is go to tryframe.com/dummy, DUMMY, and enter your email. Girl, hop on it. That is $60 of free therapy. And we have an announcement. I want to invite all of you to the Codependummy podcast Facebook group. Why? As I shared last week, since we launched, nobody has joined. It's just me and my professional page hanging out. And in the month of March, I'm going to be offering members live group coaching calls, like I did last week with Alejandra, a Q&A about podcast episodes that you loved and you have some follow-up questions on, a chance to connect with me and other codependummies, and I'm ending with a big announcement, but you have to be in the group to join. So get on it. You have 1 week to find the Codependummy podcast Facebook group, request to join, and get into action that's starting March 1st. I know, none of my patients are on Facebook. I'm not even really on Facebook, but it is a great place for groups and for us to get to know each other. So please request to join so you can connect with me and other codependummies. It's at facebook.com/groups/codependummy, and you can request your spot now. And for those of you who join this week, February 22nd to March 1st, I'm going to send you a link to my workshop, How to Self-Care and Self-Quarantine, Prioritizing Your Mental Health at Home. I talk boundaries, self-care, and resources to help you thrive while this pandemic still lingers. But you have to join between this February 22nd and March 1st. So go to facebook.com/groups/codependummy, and I will see you there. Thank you for listening. You're still here? Just kidding. Girl, this is not therapy, and I'm not your therapist, okay? This podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regards to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the publisher, or the guests are rendering any legal, clinical, or other professional information. If you want or need a professional, you should find one.